I thought we looked very dangerous in the first half, but it's the old adage, if you don't knock somebody out, then 9 times out of 10 they'll come back and knock you out, and that's exactly what happened. I feel a little bit sorry for Torquay. I thought they were a better side on the night.
Oldham take on Torquay United. They were without Kevin Francis, Jim, who played a big part in last week's...
Not our pal Kev, the 7'5"
yes.
forward, no?
Well, he didn't play. But Paul Wheeler there getting up and looked over the goalkeeper after 16 minutes. Stockport County going 1 up.
Oh, well, so what happened to Big Kev? He was injured because in the week he actually scored a goal, didn't he? And this is, who's that?
Matthew Elliott.
Matthew Elliott.
Equalising.
After 56 minutes, 1-1. And the lads from Stockport must have been feeling a little bit.
Well, you remember the good goal last week from Jim Gannon, which was a cracker.
Yeah.
Jim on the score sheet again. This was a good one as well, Jim. Getting in there, brave header.
Yeah. Good goal.
To his new surroundings and to his new colleagues. And the news on Rowbottom is that he is fit, and a debut tomorrow at Plainmoor in the match with Shrewsbury Town looks highly likely. Meanwhile, at Exeter, no Darren anymore, but yesterday's 2 new signings were in training today. Peter Whiston, who's made the journey the other way from Torquay, and Andy Cook, who joined from Southampton for £60,000. Both are in the squad to meet Hartlepool tomorrow. In rugby, the long build-up to the Courage Leagues continues. Our leading Plainmoor
with a penalty kick, and they're level. Hartlepool level it at 1 goal each.
At Plainmoor, new colours for Darren Rowbottom, but continuing problems for his new side. After 12 minutes, skipper Matt Elliott getting in a right mess, and Shrewsbury's Kevin Summerfield taking his chance quite superbly. Torquay's reply, though, must give them hope for the future. Rowbottom winning over the crowd after 33 minutes with a goal on his debut. Paul Holmes with the cross and Rowbottom with a back header. On this evidence, he could yet prove an astute buy. But it was to be no dream start for him or his club. A second-half penalty from Tony Henry sending Torquay to their 6th successive defeat. Torquay 1, Shrewsbury 2.
Oh, good is it. Well, for Torquay, more pressure on manager John Impey. Here's Mark Tyler.
A 7th successive league defeat for Torquay, and not a lot of confidence for tomorrow's big cup match at Oldham. Graham Sharp could have a field day at Boundary Park. Jim McNichol's mistake let in Hull for a 2-0 lead before Darren Rowbottom gave United some half-time hope with this penalty. The third came courtesy of David Norton midway through the second half as United's defence opened up yet again. And David Wormsley compounded the misery 6 minutes from time. Watch out for more changes if you're a Torquay supporter.
And Torquay United. Well, we always knew it was going to be tough, but I don't think anybody suspected it would be quite as tough as it turned out to be. Mark Tyler has this report.
The 100 or so Torquay supporters at Boundary Park knew their side were in for a tough night with the likes of Andy Ritchie and Graham Sharp on the loose. United themselves came out with a new-look team. Injury had robbed them of Mark Doby. Darren Rowbottom was cup-tied, so Dwayne Darby and Mickey Holmes became makeshift strikers. Even so, United could hardly have seen what was coming.
They were putting money on it. They should indeed put the money on as being hammered, but the team don't think they're necessarily going to get hammered. If they're outplayed, they will get hammered, but a lot of confidence there. We're not a bad side. They're a good football inside. It's a very nice pitch as well, which I think might suit us. On the other hand, I could be eating these words in great big gulps later on. So
you've had a few defensive problems this season, so how are you going to cope with players like Graham Sharp and Andy Ritchie?
Yeah, it's a very good question and very well put, and God knows.
Prophetic words indeed from the Torquay chairman, although in the very early stages United held their own against the First Division new boys. Just this typical header from fit-again Andy Ritchie separated the two sides at half-time. Ritchie proving once again why he's one of the most feared strikers in the whole of the Football League. But after the break, it all went sadly wrong for John Impey's side. The goal rush starting with another fine header. Graham Sharp's long-awaited opening goal for Oldham since his £500,000 move from Everton this summer. Again, the quality of the finishing gives Gareth Howells no chance of pulling off a dramatic rescue act on the goal line. From then on, his goal was blitzed by the Latics frontmen, Rick Holden having a field day on the left flank, constantly whipping in teasing crosses. But it was that man Ritchie who started and finished an incredible third goal. Sharp and Kane both unlucky before the ball fell invitingly for Ritchie. It was his sort of night, all right. and an evening when loose balls fell straight to a blue-shirted attacker and not a defender in yellow. 3 down, Torquay knew any hopes of an upset were gone. Latic struck 4 more times in an incredible 11-minute spell. Even the Torquay fans were applauding as first midfielder Nick Henry burst through for a brilliantly taken individual effort. The home side were almost scoring at will, Ritchie turning provider for the 5th, pushed wide and slightly fortunate to guide the ball between Curran's legs, allowing Mike Milligan to get his name on the score sheet. A welcome boost for Milligan. He's not enjoyed a great start to the season and hasn't been a big favourite this term with Boundary Park supporters. Now things might change. A couple of minutes later, Ritchie was back to grab his hat-trick. Once again, Holden is given far too much room for manoeuvre wide on the left, and the perfect example from Ritchie of a glancing header into the far corner. Once again, suspect defending from Torquay, Ritchie making the most of the opportunity. Howell's beaten again. Well, talking of perfect finishing, how about this for Oldham's 7th and Ritchie's 4th? Was Howells a little too far off his line? By that time, it hardly mattered. The crowd of 7,000 marvelling at Ritchie's performance in his first full game of the season. A brilliant effort from the veteran striker and one of the goals of the season at Boundary Park. Well, unlike some league performances this season, Torquay never let their heads drop. They deservedly grabbed a late consolation, Dwayne Darby's header hitting the post before David Hodges reacted quickest to bang the ball into the net. Final score, though, Oldham 7, Torquay 1.
So in the end, the worst fears of Torquay United supporters have been realised. Without Wes Saunders, they've been vulnerable in defence all season, and star strikers like Andy Ritchie don't have to be asked twice. 4 goals and a great comeback to the side, Andy.
Yes, very pleasing. Obviously, you want to come back and you want to get on the score sheet, and to get 1 and then go on and get, you know, the other 3 is very pleasing.
What did you think about Torquay United, particularly at the back? Because you seem to have a fair amount of room there.
Yeah, probably second half we did. I think the manager came in and said we weren't playing particularly well. We were giving them a little bit too much time, which probably was right. Second half, I thought we moved around better, and we created our own space a little bit more.
You got the match ball. Which is the most memorable goal that you've scored tonight, do you think?
Well, I think probably people will, talk about the 4th one, but the most memorable one for me was the 3rd, because I was involved in so much of the build-up, and then to be there again at the end and finish it off was very pleasing.
Getting up to half-time, I was quite happy with the way it was going. I thought we were doing, fairly well, and then obviously second half they just bombarded us and they showed their class.
Where did it all go wrong? Because at one stage it seemed every time they were attacking, Andy Ritchie was scoring a goal.
It did get to seem that way, didn't it? I don't know. I suppose when the second goal went in, the lads, a few of the heads went down. But as I say, when you're playing against class players like that, they only need, half a chance, let alone the chances we were giving them to put the goals away.
1 or 2 gaps in the Torquay defence. Would you put that down as the big problem there? Not really.
Promotion at Wembley.
When Dave Smith left the club in April, it was John Impey who guided United back to the 3rd division with a nail-biting win over Blackpool at Wembley. But after Torquay's dreadful start to this season, Chairman Mike Bateson's announcement of Impey's departure didn't come entirely out of the blue. What took everyone by surprise, though, was the choice of his immediate successor.
Following a board meeting held at Plainmoor yesterday afternoon, it was decided to dismiss the manager, John Impey, and his assistant, John Turner. Following the board meeting later in the day, we had discussions with Wes Saunders, who has agreed to become player coach, and John Uzel, who has agreed to become his assistant.
Well, there's no doubt that today's big changes here at Plainmoor will come as a big surprise to Torquay supporters. They say a week is a long time in politics. Well, it certainly is in football. Just a week or so ago, Chairman Mike Bateson publicly supported John Impey in the official Torquay United programme.
As chairman, I was talking to the manager about certain aspects of the job, and maybe I didn't get the complete response that I expected.
Can you elaborate on that?
I certainly could, but I'm not going to. I mean, it's very personal to John. All I can say is that, if anything, perhaps he put too much into it.
The rapid elevation to managerial status came as a big shock to 28-year-old Saunders. He scored one of those Wembley goals that put Torquay on the road to the 3rd division.
Now Saunders and assistant John Uzell will work together to recreate the happy atmosphere at Plainmoor that Mike Bateson felt was sadly lacking with John Impey at the helm.
Hopefully we can get a bit of confidence in the lads. I mean, it's not a matter of what me and John can do that they couldn't. It's just a change might be better than anything. Hopefully we can make the lads go out there and enjoy the football.
I think they'll bring perhaps a little bit of the fun back into Torquay United as regards players' training. I know that for whatever reason players have ceased to look forward to training, and that is obviously not a good thing. And I'm sure Wes and John will make it a lot more interesting. Well, such is football. I mean, as a fairly new chairman, well, the second season in the job, I find it very hard to live with. In business, you don't sack managers willy-nilly, and yet here I am. I've gone through 2 managers in less than 2 seasons, and it does rub against the grain. But we have to listen to the supporters, and the supporters, 1,500 paying supporters turned up at the last home game. Which is extraordinarily bad, and clearly we have to listen to the supporters.
Having sacked John Impey and his assistant John Turner, Mr Bateson moved swiftly to appoint Wes Saunders as player coach with John Uzell as his assistant. The appointment is temporary, and Torquay have deliberately shied away from giving Saunders the tag of manager in an effort to avoid putting him under additional pressure. But at 28, is he perhaps a little young to be taking over a club in crisis?
It is, but I mean, I've been in the game now for 10 years. I think I know enough about players we've got at the club to put a decent team out that can do a good job for the club.
How difficult is it going to be for you, having been one of the lads, so to speak, one of the players, to suddenly turn around and become the boss, do you think?
Well, it's not so much as turn around and becoming the boss, because I've told the players to call us Wes, just to go on as things have gone on. Because as far as I'm concerned at the moment, it's a temporary thing that I'm doing to help out the club.
Torquay eventually hoped to appoint a player manager, but in the meantime Saunders is preparing for his first game in charge against First Division Oldham in the Rumbelows Cup tomorrow night.
I want the crowd to come here tomorrow night and see the team play well above all. Give them a bit something to shout about.
Well, back now to Chris at the Conservative.
They sacked their manager, John Impey, and tonight they face Oldham in the Rumbelows League Cup, already 7-1 down from the first leg. What a baptism for the new management team of Wes Saunders and Mike Bateson. Mark Tyler spoke to them both a little earlier today.
Looking forward to it. Obviously, first game, first team I've picked in the Football League. Lads are looking forward to it. I can't really say more. I mean, we've got a few surprises in store for them. I don't know what yet, but we have.
What was it like for you to sit down with all the names in front of you and put together a team for perhaps the first time in a big game?
I think you realise how hard a manager's job becomes then, when you've actually got to pick a team. But you pick a team for that particular game, and I hope we've done a good job of it.
Of course, the big talking point is the goalkeeping position tonight. That's going to a youngster. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, it's Matthew Law. He's never played in the first team in a competitive game before, but he's been here for 2 years now, so the lads know enough about him and he knows enough about the lads, and I'm sure he can do a good job. It's just all about confidence for him.
What reaction have you had from supporters of Torquay over the last 24 hours or so since John Impey's departure and Wes and John have been moved in?
Fairly mixed, really. I think, like us all, none of us really wanted to see John Impey go. He's a very pleasant chap, a very great hard worker. But at the same time, everybody realised something needed to be done. Wes has got a hell of a following, so I think the majority of people will be, I'm afraid John Impey, like it or not, is yesterday's man, and Wes is the new hero of the day, together with John Uzell. So.
What about your feelings at the moment about football? You came into Football League Chairmanship with a lot of high hopes. Have they been dispelled rather over the last year or so?
Well, not really. We achieved promotion in my first season, so this season is by no means over, so no, not really. There are one or two aspects of it, like the dismissal of a manager, that I think in any business nobody likes dismissing people, especially people who are hard grafters and have the integrity that John has, but that's football. I'm getting used to it now.
What's the best that Torquay can hope for tonight?
A good performance and a win.
Well, Oldham may be leading 7-1 on aggregate, but manager Joe Royle is taking no chances. He's fielding his strongest available side tonight, although injury has forced several changes from the side that ran riot at Boundary Park 2 weeks ago. Centre-half Brian Kilcline and 4-goal hero Andy Ritchie are among those missing, but they do have leading scorer Ian Marshall back after a recent thigh strain, and don't forget a certain Graham Sharp either. The Scottish international was signed from Everton in the summer for £500,000, and since getting off the mark against Torquay, he scored 2 more. So what a test for Torquay's 17-year-old keeper Matthew Lowe, with Gareth Howells suffering a thigh strain and number 2 Ian Gandy going down with tonsillitis. Lowe has been really plunged in at the deep end with his dramatic call-up to the first team. He only heard he was playing late this afternoon. Well, Wes Saunders' first Torquay team selection shows several other changes from the first leg. YTS officer Paul Compton continues his central defensive role alongside Matt Elliott, while Andy Rowland comes in alongside Dave Hodges up front. With Rowbottom cup-tied and Oldham loan signing Mike Fillery unavailable, Saunders' attacking options have been reduced, but he has given Mark Loram a free role behind the front two. So tonight's referee, Clive Wilkes, about to get this Rumbelows Cup second round, second leg match underway. Oldham, remember, leading by 7-1, so I suppose some people might say that with the vital away goal, all Torquay need tonight is a 6-0 victory to go through to the next round. Hodges plays it infield, nice ball too, to Holmes. Looks up, and that is a very good ball to that far side. A good cross is called for, it is a good one too. And a long-range effort which goes very high and very wide. Mickey Holmes with that effort. They're chasing back now for Matthew Elliott. I think exactly the contact he wanted, and in the end the goalkeeper can't stop that one going away for a corner kick. So the Oldham fans beginning to get behind their side now. All the big men have come forward for the first corner of the game. Oldham can be very dangerous from these situations as that corner swings in now. Good header too, and it's the opening goal, and really the Torquay defending left a very much to be desired there. It was a good corner which caught the Torquay defenders all at sea. There comes the corner, and really you can't leave people like Richard Jobson with space like that to guide their header past the keeper. Richard Jobson with his first goal of the season for Oldham. Chrissy Myers hoping that this throw might lead to something to warm up this crowd. Not a lot of excitement so far in these opening stages. It's a clear night down here at Plainmoor. It's pretty cold as well. Myers then with the free kick. That should be the goalkeeper's, Holworth. He comes for it, loses it. The referee says that Andy Rowland infringed him. The Torquay striker didn't enjoy that decision very much. So here comes the free kick, floated in. It was perhaps a little bit too close to Holworth, and Rowland just threw himself at the keeper, and the referee blew his whistle. Rowland throwing himself at that one. Barrett moving forward. Gets a cross in too. It's found Sharp in space. Didn't really get a hold of that one, Graham Sharp. Joyce to Holmes. And a good ball in field too to Mickey Holmes. And the offside flag is up against Andy Rowland, even though he puts the ball in the back of the net. It doesn't count. Sharp knocks it forward. Now Kane switches play to that far side, and just look at this. Real danger now for Torquay United. Rick Holden has got space now to cut inside, get the cross in. Sharp's there with a header, and a lovely save from Matthew Lowe. Just look at this, Rick Holden again. Fooled Paul Holmes, got the cross in with the right boot. Header from Sharp, good save from Matthew Lowe. Elliott's free kick. Rowland looking for it, Barrett with a very hasty clearance. It needed to be 2. Sharp picks up inside his own half, finds its way out to Barlow. And there goes the half-time whistle. Not a bad first half as far as Torquay United are concerned. They conceded that goal from Richard Jobson. They're 8-1 down on aggregate, but certainly a lot of excitement perhaps to come in the second half. Torquay holding their heads high. The half-time score, Torquay United 0, Oldham Athletic 1. So Mr. Wilkes gets the second half underway. Oldham leading by a goal to 0. Elliott, good firm header. Hodges, and now the ball through the gap to Mark Loram with a shot. Could still come to Loram. Excellent save from Holworth. Barrett completes the clearance, but the first real opportunity that for Torquay United. Just look at this build-up for Torquay United. A lot of space for Mark Loram, right down the middle. Took the shot first time. Excellent diving save from Holworth, and Barrett completed the clearance. Yes, no doubt about that. Paul Compton giving away the free kick, and Oldham take it very quickly indeed. Look at this break down the left-hand side. What can Barlow do? Cuts in field. Holmes is with him. Henry now guides the ball out wide to Rick Holden. Whips one into the far post. Could go anywhere. Milligan almost getting a shot in. Here's Kane. Sharp just inches over the bar. Graham Sharp should have done better from there. He knows it. A lucky let-off for Torquay. Sean Joyce then for Torquay. Trying to set them moving down the left-hand side. Here's Colcom. Side again to Joyce. And that's not a bad ball either, is it? On that far side. Well kept in play too by Hodges. And coming back to Mickey Holmes. Moves one way, then the other. Loram with a lovely return ball. First time shot, and only just a couple of inches wide from Mickey Holmes. Lovely interchange with Mark Loram. Here it is again. What a lovely build-up from Torquay United. There was the first ball. There's Loram, gets the return. And look at this for a really rasping drive. Holworth beaten, but unfortunately past the far post. So I wonder what Wes Saunders and John Uzell are thinking. The side 1-0 down and not doing too badly against the first division opposition. And here come Torquay again on the left-hand side. Colcom this time with a high floated cross. Holworth has to come for it, drops it. And very, very nearly Andy Rowland picking up on that dropped cross from John Holworth. Marshall to Sharp. Holden moving forward now in force. Holden calling for it on the far side. It might come to him. Here he is, Rick Holden. Clinical finish from the Oldham left back. What a build-up. Long ball to the left-hand side. Holden was there, and no problem with the finish. Paul Kane starting the move right on the halfway line. He looked up, he saw Holden moving really fast down the left-hand side. He steamed into the area, took it first time, and no real chance for Matthew Lowe. Henry. Holden again. Close marking, but he manages to get it back to Henry. He can flick it in to the edge of the area with his right boot. Half clearance. And now a full clearance maybe, but no, Barrett can come in and set Oldham moving down the left again. Lovely ball with the outside of the boot. Holden, teasing cross. And there was the header from Ian Marshall, the leading scorer, but not adding to his tally with that rather poor header from a good position. Barrett. Good turn of pace that from Earl Barrett, shaping up now for a curling shot. Certainly worth an effort, that Earl Barrett, celebrating his call-up as a standby for the England squad. 1 week playing Torquay, the next week perhaps playing Turkey. And look at this for change of speed. Looked for the curler into the top corner. And there goes the final whistle. That was the last real incident of this match. A disappointing night, I suppose, for Torquay. They lose 9-1 on aggregate, 2-0 on the night. But you can say they've held their heads very high indeed. I'm sure Wes Saunders and John Uzell, the new management team, will be pleased with the way their side have performed. They'll be looking now to performances in the third division to lift them away from the relegation zone.
So Oldham Athletic go through. Who'll they get in the next round? Well,
Condemned Torquay United to another home defeat and bottom spot in Division 3. It wasn't a terrible performance by Wes Saunders' team, but they do need a couple of wins to boost confidence.
Meanwhile, Torquay also stay bottom in Division 3, and after Saturday's defeat at Bradford, they're in danger of losing touch. The first goal came from Lee Duxbury. Well, Gareth Howells was at fault there, but he couldn't be blamed for the second. Phil Babb threading his way through and finishing in style. Well, in reply, plenty of chances, but no finishing once again. Bradford 2, Torquay 0. Well, finally, Devon trainer David Barron's was in Ways last night, this time in the Autoglass Trophy, formerly the Leyland DAF. Sadly, though, it was all at the expense of Torquay United. 2-1 the score. Mark Tyler reports.
After Exeter's injury-time league victory in September, Torquay were desperate for revenge. They got off to a great start too. Former City player Dean Edwards allowed a free header to put the goals 1-up after just 14 minutes. But Exeter battled back well as the half wore on. Central defender Peter Whiston equalising against his old club with this neat header. Another Torquay old boy, Tom Kelly, the first to join the celebrations. Well, the goal of the game sealed Exeter's unconvincing win. Great interchange between Chapman and Moran. And how about this for the coolest of finishers? Moran's 7th goal in just 4 games, as he aims to become the first real successor to Darren Rowbottom. Well, if Rowbottom had a point to prove, he almost did it with this superb shot in the second half. Again, it was Exeter who had all the luck. Matthew Elliott's late header just couldn't give Torquay the draw they deserved. Victory then for Exeter, but Wembley still a very long way away.
Finally, staying with football, a new face at Plymouth Argyle. Welsh international Jeff Hopkins has been...
In third division, good and bad news to report. Exeter's superb 10-match unbeaten run coming to a dramatic end at Wigan, while Torquay relieve the pressure at the bottom of the table with 3 valuable home points. Here's Jerry Harmer.
At Plainmoor, a fine cross from Neil Sang set up the winner. Matt Elliott, the man with the finish after 50 minutes. That Torquay's first league goal since John Impey was sacked as manager. And near the end, they could have made it too. Winger Paul Hall, the man delivering the cross. And when the ball fell for Neil Sang, only a superb save kept it out. Torquay 1, Swansea 0.
Division Manager of the Month award with this win over troubled Torquay. After taking the lead with a Nigel Gleghorn penalty, Simon Sturridge put the home side 2-up. And United's defensive problems allowed Louis Donowa to grab the third 18 minutes from time to leave United rooted to the bottom of the table. Meanwhile, United chairman Mike Bateson has decided not to sell the club. He threatened to resign last week because of criticism from some supporters. However, messages of support have persuaded him to change his mind.
United hammered away at the opposition for much of the game, but found keeper Vince Bartram in great form. Terrific effort here from Darren Rowbottom, tipped over the bar. Ironic then that the only goal was down to poor judgment from the Bournemouth keeper. It's a harmless-looking cross from Paul Holmes, 5 minutes from time. Bartram leaves it, but the ball dips just below the bar and into the far corner. Holmes obviously delighted to score his first goal of the season, even if it was a bit of a fluke. But the goals won't complain as they climb above.
Both sides last met just a fortnight ago in Birmingham, when Torquay were beaten 3-0. But United's player-coach Wes Saunders is confident of avoiding a repeat of that result.
This set it's going to be completely different. It's an FA Cup tie, and they're always different. There's a lot of passion, and I think the game's quicker. So I think one of the differences is going to be, I think, is our pitch. It's a lot tighter than St Andrews, so it gives us the edge, I think.
Yeovil Town will be setting a new non-league record when they appear in the first round. Torquay produced one of their best performances of the season against much-fancied Birmingham. They took control from the start and had already squandered several chances before Mark Loram put them ahead with a cracking goal following a terrible mix-up between Marden and Clarkson. A minute later it was 2-0, Darren Rowbottom setting up Paul Hall for his first senior goal. Having opened his account, Hall was clearly developing a taste for goal-scoring. He put the game beyond Birmingham's reach with a splendidly taken third goal after Loram had put him through. Exeter City lived to fight another day despite having player-coach Steve Wilson.
Justin Fashanu this morning at Plainmoor, almost certainly the latest stop in a once glittering career. It began with Norwich City when he was consistently one of the First Division's top scorers. Severe injury then threatened his future, but not as much as his recent revelation that he's gay. Football, a fiercely chauvinistic sport, left him out in the cold. Now 29, Torquay United could be his last chance.
Anything can happen. This is a good opportunity, and I'm going to take it.
For struggling Torquay, it's simple. They need a goal scorer, and Fashanu fits the bill. Apparently, there will be no problems of attitude from the chairman or the players.
No problem at all. Totally accept them, and they're pros. We don't question their sexuality, so you know, they shouldn't question his.
God didn't say it'd be easy, life, and the one thing that I wanted to do was be honest and get out of the closet and just be myself. And I don't have a problem with my sexuality, and I don't have a problem with my ability to play football. So I'm leaving it to everybody else to have a problem with that.
With terms agreed, Fashanu should sign tomorrow for the rest of the season, but he says he needs several weeks before he's fit enough to make his first-team debut.
They'll be squeezed from
non-league Farnborough at Plainmoor. Simon Reed put the visitors ahead after half an hour with his 18th goal of the season, and Reed might easily have wrapped the game up for Farnborough 6 minutes into the second half when he latched onto a mistake by Matt Elliott. Fortunately for United, he shot wide. Torquay struggled throughout, but they were unlucky not to equalise when Elliott headed against the bar. In the end, it needed a superb strike from Mark Loram 3 minutes from time to earn Torquay a replay at Farnborough.
Yeovil Town's hopes of further FA Cup glory came to an end at Woking, where they were left to rue a
Made a formal complaint to the police about the incident on Saturday that left John Uzell, the club's player-coach, with severe facial injuries. He's expected to be out of action for at least 3 months. Mark Tyler reports on the match that became a disgrace.
The best and the worst of football was on show at Plainmoor. Kevin Godfrey's superbly struck 14th minute opener for the league leaders gave no indication of the ugly incidents to follow. The catalyst for several first-half flare-ups was this challenge between Torquay player-coach John Uzell and Brentford striker Gary Blissett. Our replay clearly shows that Blissett's elbow is raised as he jumps for the ball. Birmingham referee Arthur Smith had no hesitation in sending him off. And a few moments later, Torquay's Paul Compton also received his marching orders for continuing the verbal battle. In the meantime, Uzell was receiving treatment for his shattered cheekbone. 8 minutes later, Brentford found themselves down to 9 men. This time, Marcus Gale sees red after kicking and pushing Torquay's pint-sized winger, Scott Colcombe. With the Torquay crowd incensed, it was something of a relief when the game returned to relative normality in the second half. United played some superb football and deservedly grabbed an equaliser from the penalty spot. Wayne Dobbins, the man brought down, and Darren Rowbottom made no mistake with the spot kick. It was a good point for United, but it'll be a game remembered more for Uzell's appalling injury. Today, Uzell was reliving that sickening clash with Blissett as he recovered at home. His severe injuries could put him out of action for the rest of the season, and after seeing TSW's coverage of the match, he confirmed that he is considering taking further action.
I don't remember much about the actual incident until I saw it just now. It's brought it all home again.
Looking at the pictures, do you think Gary Blissett was guilty of using his elbow?
It certainly looks that way. It doesn't look too good as far as I'm concerned. I have lodged a complaint today with the local police, and tomorrow I have to go up and make an actual statement. I didn't feel capable of doing it today. Still a bit rough from the incident, but I am going to do something about it, yeah.
Well, today, Brentford's manager Phil Holder said it was an accident. Accidents happen in physical games like football. When you jump from a standing start, you cannot do so with your hands down at your sides. Well, from that, thankfully, to action pure and simple.
The first 35 minutes, Torquay looked the more likely winners, and it took an inspired save from John Power to stop Mark Loram putting them ahead. Then, following a bounce-up, McDoherty